Hey guys, today we're taking a look at my Exodia deck. Now, Exodia isn't a deck type that I'm actually a big fan of because to me, it's, a little more boring. Obviously, the whole point is just getting Exodia. You don't really play much, you just focus on drawing and searching him out. There are a lot of really interesting builds for Exodia, and there's a lot of different things you could do, and I will talk about a lot of that in the side deck, but I do want to let people know this is just one way to run Exodia. There's a bunch of other ways, and I'll talk about the strength of this deck, the strength of the other decks, try to discuss a lot about just Exodia in general and how he runs. But yeah, because it's not one of my favorite deck types, it took me a really long time just to update one. So I just kind of threw one together using this type of build, which is pretty much, I think, called like Mega Draw or something. It's based on library, and we'll talk about kind of how that works and what I'm going to be doing in my deck profile. So the cards for this deck type, obviously the 5 pieces of Exodia, 3 Royal Magical Library. This is the main card of the deck, allowing you to get some draw power from all the spell cards you're going to activate. So you'll additionally get some nice draw power from this. You'll fuel that with, the entire deck being all spells, so it just works out really nicely for you. Then we're going to be running 3 Broken Bamboo Sword that goes with Golden Bamboo Sword so you can get some more draw power. Cup of Ace, a situational card. The minus is pretty annoying that you can't really rely on this, but it can be helpful. There's a reason I'm only running it at 1 because it's definitely sort of risky. Your opponent drawing is not the biggest deal because you're trying to win so quickly anyway, but the fact that you won't get your draw is really, really bad. Dark World Dealings helping you dump things that you don't necessarily need at that time. Another, easy card for you to use in this deck. 3 Into the Void. Obviously, this can be a bad card at certain times, but you need additional 1-for-1 cards that will get you what you need. And then 3 Magical Citadel of Endymion. So this gives you another draw on top of the library, but you get that, when you're activating more of them. So you're able to use this to refuel and kind of gain more, draw power, which is the combination that you're trying to make out with all the spell cards. And then I'm running 3 Magical Mallet. Very important to get library and hopefully Endymion early on. So this deck is very reliant on its draws, and its starting hand is extremely important. So Mallet is just kind of helping you out within that. 1 Day of Peace, super powerful card in this deck, basically giving you another bite at the apple in case you don't get what you need. You can use this card to easily just set up things and, skip a turn or something like that. 1 Pot of Duality, only using 1 in this deck because we try to win in 1 or 2 turns, so having more Pot of Dualities can be a little cloggy since you can only activate 1. Kind of the same thing for Spell Power Grasp, just helping us out, but again, we're not able to use more, so only using 1 in this deck type. 2 Terraforming, again, another kind of 1-for-1 card. In certain situations it can be dead, but I still think it could be pretty helpful in this deck type. Then Toon Table Contents, just a free card for this deck, and then Toon World is the last card you'll get for another spell card to activate. 3 Upstarts, obviously, in a deck type like this, and 1 Wonder Wand, kind of a last-ditch card in case you need it, in case you're going to stall, you're going to summon another Royal Magical Library. Just depends on what you're trying to do, but can be a nice card in this deck type. So there's no extra deck in this deck type. I just didn't see the point of putting one in. You can put in like Crazy Box or Stall cards or, anything you want. Exciton Knight, Silent Honor if you want, but you'll rarely get those out. If you do, you won't really be doing the deck anymore. So you could run any of that. It really doesn't make a huge difference. There's not really draw XYZs that can really help you out in this deck. Crazy Box is just one I recommend because you could stall and you could draw a card additionally, but it's just not a big deal. So I just didn't make an extra deck. I don't think it's really, it doesn't make any sense at all for this deck type. So it's obvious what the deck is trying to do. You just activate those spells and try to draw Exodia, hopefully the first turn or the second turn. It's, very risky. There is no Exodia deck that's 100% consistent because if it was, then, the meta would be just Exodia decks, which is good that it's not that consistent overall. But, different deck types have different strengths. This one is very focused on the starting hand. If your starting hand can be good, you can draw Exodia fast. But I do really want to talk about the other builds and talk about maybe other strengths that you can do. One of the other things you could do is you can run like a trade-in build, and then you can run Blue Eyes Toon Dragon. If you do that, you can run other things like Blue Eyes White Dragon, run Cards of Consonance, run White Stone of Legend, run Flammable Guard. So you can do additional draw engine there. Another draw engine I was using before is Destiny Heroes. You could do Defender, you could do Dogma, you could do Plasma. Again, run trade-in, run Destiny Draw. So that's another thing you could do. It could be a pretty powerful draw engine, but it's based on cards that go together, which is kind of a weakness that a lot of Exodia builds can have. Another type of build you can run is Mystic Piper. Do that with Swift Scarecrow and Battle Fader and a bunch of other level 1s. Another draw engine, Where Art Thou, a bunch of other stuff like that. Summoner Monk can be good in this deck because you can dump a spell and search out Royal Magical Library, which can just set up things nicely for you, but otherwise Summoner Monk is dead, so it's kind of annoying there. If we're running more of the stall type of Exodia, again, run Swift, Scarecrow, Battle Fader, things like that. Thunder Dragon can kind of thin out the deck for you, but not super essential. There's also another Broken Bamboo Sword you can use. Cursed Bamboo Sword, I don't really know if it's that good, but it can help you reuse some stuff. Dark Factory of Mass Production, if you run this and like Magical Stone Excavation, you can use this if you can discard Exodia and get it back, and there's some other things you could do there which are interesting. Double Summon you can use in this deck. You can put it in at 1, I wouldn't put it in at more, just in case you can bring out multiple library, which is really powerful. It's just very situational that you'll be able to do that. Again, if you're running more of the slow variation of Exodia, Gold Sarc definitely, Emissary, things like that. Hope for Exodia is another one that I think is really nice. It might be stronger than this variation, so if you really want the strongest Exodia deck, I might recommend Hope for Escape and, Accumulated Fortune and Wabaku and Threatening Roar, all that stuff would combo with Hope for Escape and just all those other traps you can run and the stall cards with Exodia. That's just another variation on the deck, not what I'm currently running. And, along with that, Reckless Greed, other stuff you can run. There's a bunch of other variations that you can run. There's a Heart of the Underdog variation. You can run that with Veil of Darkness. There's a bunch of other really weird kind of draw engines in the game that you can make use of. I'm trying to think if there's any more I should probably mention. These are kind of the main ones I'm talking about here. I just want people to know if they want to build an Exodia deck. I'm not going to build, all 4, 5, 6 Exodia deck profiles, but I want to mention all of them. So if you do want an Exodia deck, think about those options. Think about which one you want to go for. This is the one I decided to build on. Again, not all of them are 100% consistent, but you can kind of mess around with which ones you like and try to build that one and, have fun with it if you do enjoy the deck profile. Again, Exodia is not a deck that I'm a huge fan of just because of its playstyle, but I do want people to know how to build it and how you can go about it if people are interested in it. But if there's anything I didn't mention, I'm sure there is because there's so many other cards you can run. You can mention it in the comments. You can give me some suggestions for my specific type of build. Because people can recommend the other builds. I'm not gonna change my deck to that build because that's a different type of deck. But you can recommend cards for this build because as I'm not the hugest fan of the deck type, I don't really know as much about it. So I do want to hear suggestions for my type of build and maybe some other ideas that people are using in their Exodia decks. But, that's about it for me for my Exodia deck. As always, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you later.